Hello and welcome to my studio. It is autumn, it's a gorgeous time of year, it's time to get the cosy jumpers on, it's time to enjoy a pumpkin spice lattes, it's time to enjoy the changing colours, the changing of the season. I love this season, it really is my favourite. So it's time to get cosy, it's time to grab our craft supplies and create some gorgeous autumn art journal pages. So let's just get going. We are jumping right in here with some stamping by the looks of it. I am using this gorgeous little kitty, which is Little Lady Oaks. She is a stamp that I designed a while back. I actually have a video on it where I went from sketch to stamp, but this particular image was based on my grandfather, whose second name was Oaks, and he always had one sock up and one sock down. So although it's a little girl, I drew it and thought of my granddad, and it had this sort of like oak leaf theme. So I do love her because it makes me think of him, and she's just perfect for autumn with her little acorn theme. So I'm doing a little bit of masking. I have stamped her down, then I have fussy cut out a little mask just using copier paper. It's the best thing to do, copier paper. It's cheap as chips, and also because it's nice and thin, it works really well when it comes to masking techniques. I'm then using this big tree from the Enchanted Forest collection, and that is going to be the main image. And then I'm making it an oak tree by adding these little acorn things which come in the set with the Little Lady Oaks as well, and some oak leaves as well. And I really love that about this particular stamp. We've just kind of got a generic tree, but by being able to add other bits and pieces, we've now turned it into a gorgeous oak tree. And I'm putting a pile of leaves at the bottom to make it more autumnal. Now I'm obsessed with kind of trying to learn how to use my pastels. I use learn as the operative word. I have had these pastels in my collection for forever, but since we did the video on using forgotten supplies and I had a little play with them, I think I'm in love. So now we're seeing them a lot more. So this is me sort of putting my base layer down using pastels. We're going to come in with other mediums to build it up, but it's actually really cool for getting a lot of colour down really quickly and for it having a reasonable blend. So I'm actually using my Jane Davenport. I've watched a lot of Emma Rule art, and she uses a lot of pastel in her art, and she mostly uses pan pastels. I'm just literally using what I've got, and I have had these things for years, so I am needing to use them. I know when I last tried to use them, and I tried to link them below, they don't seem to be as readily available. But if you're wanting to do something similar to this, then just get whatever pastels that you have to hand. I've got a few. I've got these ones from Jane Davenport. I've got a handful of pan pastels, and I've also got some craft artist ones. And to be honest, I interchange them all, and they all seem to have a very similar effect. I do believe the pan pastels are probably slightly more pigmented. They are a bit more expensive, but then the pans are huge. So they're probably one of those things that once you've got them, you've pretty much got them forever. They're going to last a long, long time. So I went in first and did all the details with this little sort of more pointy tool so I could be more precise, and then I used the sponge to fill in all the background. I'm now sort of bringing in more different colours, trying to work on the shades and tones. I'm also bringing in some yellows and some greens and greys, which I think is cool. I love the fact that trees are just so many different colours, especially at this time of year. I'm also wanting to make it look like it's in a forest. So with the pan pastels, I'm just coming down with little lines and things to make it look like there's more trees in the background. And as I said, we are filling all of that in. Once I have got it all filled in, I am using the little mechanical eraser just to take out the colour in some of the more detailed areas that I want to build up more with pencils, and I want them to have a nice accurate colour tone, so I sort of lift that. So here are my pencils, the gorgeous Faber-Castell set, and I am going to be using them here to increase the values in our page. So again, when it comes to doing the tree trunk, I am using lots of different colours. We've got various browns, I use kind of greens and greys, and I'm just trying to make sure that I hit the shadow areas with a nice dark colour to really deepen the look. Because we've got the pan pastels down, I'm not needing to build up the layers slowly like you would normally do with pencils. I'm kind of coming in with a medium to heavy pressure straight away, and so it is getting the colour down nice and quickly on the page. And I'm loving the light that we're getting from the combination of the pastels and the pencils, and I am finding that adding the pencils really just does help to give that depth to the project. It also means with your pencils that you can get fine details. They are a little bit more difficult to achieve with pastels. Not impossible. I have watched, is it Dee Williams? She's done some colouring of some portraits, and they're incredibly detailed, and they've all been done with pan pastels. So it's clearly possible. I just am not yet at that skill level, so it requires more practice. So for the minute, I'm coming in and letting my pencils doing the work. And I think that's what's really a good thing to remember, that sometimes if you're trying out new mediums, it don't feel like you have to do the same medium from beginning to end on your project. If you're used to kind of doing different things, try different things and bring it together. Now, I did have an issue here. I didn't really like the way the pencils blended on her dress. I think because we probably filled up part of the tooth with the pastels, there wasn't as much room, and I really didn't like the way they blended. So I came in with a little bit of baby oil just to sort of blend it. I do actually have expensive blending solution, but I find baby oil works better. I'm then now coming in with my acrylic markers. These have also now become like my new best friend. I seem to honestly use acrylic markers on every single page that I have, and the opacity really helps. It means we can sort of fill in different things. And yeah, I felt that really brought it all together. The nature of working with pastels and pencils means you can sort of almost like erase the line work. So I went back in with a black pen to kind of finish that off, and then finally I came in with my white pen. Now I have to say, as I did this, I was really hating it. Normally I love what the white gel pen does, and I love how it makes it pop, but on this occasion it was just too bright. So I have brought alcohol markers in the similar colour to whatever the background was and gone over them, and it's just knocked it back slightly, so we still have the highlight, but it's not that bright white, which for some reason on this project really wasn't working. Finally sort of finish it off by adding a little bit of a doodly border, and that is page 1 of our cozy autumn pages all complete. So for our next page we are using some watercolours. In this particular page I want it to create a very quick sky-ish type background. I say ish because yeah, it's very ish. The illusion, we're creating an illusion. So I put down some blue, then I've splattered some green and some brown, and that is because in my head that looks like leaves falling. Bear with. We will get there and I'm sure it'll be fine. So then I've pulled out this little mouse stamp, and basically I want him to look like he's been caught in a gust of wind and that he's been blown across the page, quite to his dismay. So I'm going to stamp him out, and then I'm bringing the same little leaf stamp that we used in the previous page. This is the little oak leaf, and I'm trying to colour it in, or stamp it out so it's in a little swirl. So I am using acrylic paint pens for this. We're going straight in. I love the opacity of acrylic paint pens. These are really nice. They are nice and juicy, which is allowing me to blend and get a gorgeous painterly look. I don't know why I find it easier to do this with actual pens than with paint, but I do. Thoroughly enjoying using these pens. These are the Shuttle Art ones, and I have bought lots of pens to test them, but these ones seem to have the sort of same colour range as the Artex ones, and so far I'm pretty happy. Just to make this page a little bit different, we are stamping out onto some designer paper. So this is from the Golden Meadow collection, and I'm actually stamping this out onto 3 different pattern papers. We have the green pattern, we have that sort of orange flower, and a more pale green, and that is because we are going to sort of layer our paper piecing together to create some cute little accessories for our mouse. So all this maybe seems fiddly, it doesn't need to be. Most of this is just nice big easy shapes to cut out, and because of the way I've layered it, the only sort of really tiny cutting is those sort of 2 parts of the brolly, because the rest of it has been sort of stuck together as a whole. So we create this cute little brolly. We've also done a hat and a scarf. Even though we're paper piecing, I have still come in with a warm grey and hit all the shadow areas with a warm grey. I love working with value. I really think it helps anything to pop. So even when doing a technique like paper piecing, I still try and add a little bit of shadow, and I think as soon as we pop this in, it looks so adorable. So to finish off the umbrella, I'm pulling out a gel pen and we are colouring in the little umbrella. And then I kind of thought it looks cute, but it needs to look like there's more movement. So you know in cartoons you get these little speed lines. So that's what I tried to do with this, with a gel pen and with an acrylic marker. Draw lots of little lines so really get that sort of swooshing feel. And this is how it turned out. So I'm really happy with how this particular one turned out. So finally, on our final page, we are going to play with some ephemera. So this is the pumpkin patch ephemera kit. And I absolutely love it because I love fall and I love autumn. And the reason I think an ephemera pack for this time of year is pretty good is obviously, I don't know, pumpkin season's fairly short. In our creative year, creating things with an autumnal theme and with pumpkins and things is fairly short-lived. So I think ephemera is a really good way to go because like once you've used it, it's done. It's maybe not as expensive as investing in a stamp. So they are quite fun to use, and there's in this particular pack there is a wide variety of images. So as you can see, I have once again created an incredibly dodgy background using the pastels. And I really, well, I'm going to say I really like how that turned out. It just looks dreadful. So we'll ignore that and focus on what we're doing with paint pens. So after making my dodgy background, I have then come in and just basically drawn lines with a really pale sort of greyish brown. And then I'm coming in with two slightly darker browns to create a bit of shading and just draw some little squiggles. So we've created sort of woodland and trees behind us. So I'm liking how that all looks, but I really don't like the white edge that we are getting from the ephemera. So I decided to cut that off on the pumpkins. I stick them all down and I'm really happy with how they look. But I decided, much to my dismay, just to leave the house one as it was because it had lots of fiddly twiddly bits and I like the fiddly twiddly bits. So I decided it was a bit too difficult to cut off and I left as is, but of course as soon as it was all stuck down like that, I hated it. I really didn't like it at all. So whilst I was thinking of a fix, I just sort of focused on the foreground. We needed to ground these pumpkins and we needed to sort of fill in some of the gaps. So I did this again with my acrylic markers, trying to create a little bit of groundwork, a little bit of trees, just with some incredibly loose scribbling. Please do not feel that if you're an artist, you're not an artist, you can't do this. It's just dots and scribbles. We're just creating the illusion of some greenery, and because it's autumn I've thrown a bit of orange in there. Now this is where my genius hack came in. I came in with a grey pen just to try and blend it into the background and it worked so well. I was like, oh, that is so good. It actually has just blended into the background. Then once I did that, I realised, oh, I could do all my shading and toning between the pumpkins as well. Because this was ephemera and I'd not hand coloured, I didn't have like shadow in front of all the individual elements, but I was able to come in with the grey pen and create that shadow. And I think once I start doing this, we blend it all into the page and it really looks like part of the page. Absolutely love how it turned out. I think it could have done with a bit more shadowing behind the actual houses and pumpkins. I don't know why I failed to do that, but anyway, we just did a couple little scribbles and that is this one all done as well. So I hope that you have enjoyed our cozy autumn crafting. If you do enjoy playing in your art journal, you will most likely enjoy these playlists that I will recommend to you in just a moment. Thank you so much for joining me and I will see you again next week.